you think conscious and unconscious bias are connected?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. Again, this comes from the conversations that we've had. That your conversation of why don't we talk about the unconscious bias was a way for me to go back and think about the ways in which these two words, conscious and unconscious, or explicit and implicit biases, are connected. The truth of the matter is, Nuzat, that we're not born biased. We become biased. We become biased because we are given sometimes explicit messaging around certain people, certain individuals, certain groups, and those explicit messagings we take and we internalize it, and then as we go through time, as we grow up, we are now working from this place of internalized implicit bias, and we're no longer aware when
Hmm.
the explicit bias has become internalized and now is functioning as the implicit bias. So let me give you
Wow.
an example, right?
Sure.
For example,
Yes.
the fairness screams.
Right.
We've all seen the fairness screams. We've all seen the advertisements of the fairness screams,
Absolutely.
the
Right.
hoardings, and of course, fairness screams are particularly biased towards, a favorable bias towards lighter skinned and an unfavorable bias towards darker skinned people. So,
Right.
you may have seen the advertisements, the hoardings. You may have also heard while growing up that, darker people are not beautiful, darker people are less desirable. And you've heard all these explicit or conscious
Hmm.
biases around you, and you
Right.
have now internalized those biases. And as you've grown up, you now go into a workplace, and you're working in an industry. Let's just say it's the hospitality industry, and
Hmm.
you have two candidates in front of you. Both are very capable, both are wonderful candidates, but one is a shade darker than the other, and you make the decision to hire the lighter skinned candidate because you feel that this candidate would be better in terms of facing the customer, has a more pleasing personality. So you're
Right.
using all these kind of ways to rationalize or justify why you've hired this person. Meanwhile, you're operating from an implicit bias that you are no longer aware, that has skewed you towards this one
Hmm.
person and not to consider the other. So the idea that explicit bias and implicit bias are somehow disconnected, I think we need to think through that a little bit more. They're deeply connected. They're enmeshed with one another, I would say. Yeah,
Wow. And that's a
yeah,
very interesting perspective you shared with us, Sharon. The fact that people would usually justify their behavior because of their biases, and
yeah.
how biases are stemming up from conditioning that they have had over a period of time. And it's not really easy to work through that, I'm sure, right?
Sure.
And because people have biases, there is a requirement for us to work through the biases, increase self-awareness. And that brings me to the topic of our webinar that is upcoming, which is going to be about a topic that you shared with me, and I'll let you introduce that to our viewers.
Yes. So, we wanted to talk about conscious and unconscious bias, or explicit and implicit bias. And we also wanted to talk about the fact that the word bias itself, comes with a lot of baggage. Let's say it has a lot of negativity around it. But
Right.
like I said, biases can be skewed both favorably and unfavorably.
Mm-hmm.
They can be both negative and positive. So, for example, you could, if we want to talk about biases, it is important then we destigmatize the word. We
Hmm.
talk about it not as a negative, but as an attribute that all of us have. In fact, all of us have biases. We are all prejudiced
Correct.
in some way or the other because we are born in a society and we have cultural condition
Right.
that we have imbibed. We have, some of them are explicit, that we have
Hmm.
taken and internalized, and now they're implicit biases. So we constantly need to work on it, the conscious and the unconscious, and deconstruct these biases in order to create a more equitable, inclusive and a diverse environment as we're going through in our workspaces, as leaders, as people, as influencers, as parts of organizations. You know.
I'm so glad you shared that with our viewers. And that's the good news. I'm sure that the viewers are going to be really excited to sign up for our upcoming webinar, which is going to be about destigmatizing biases.
Yes.
And how do you become aware about your biases and operate from a place of fairness and respect for everyone concerned? So we have positive outcomes within our organizations, with our stakeholders, and with our team in our leadership role. So thank you so much, Sharon. It was lovely speaking with you once again.
Yes, thank you
And
too.
and viewers, for you, please continue supporting us and pressing the like button and subscribe button so this content reaches your inbox automatically. And we look forward to bringing you this kind of content in the future as well. So Sharon, have a great day and take care.
Yes, and thank you, Nuzhat, for having this wonderful conversation again and creating this platform. And as I leave you, I wish you a good night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Take
All
care.
right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.